Welcome to the Redvee TV preview show, supported by A-Star Recruitment for the 2022 season, as we look ahead to this Saturday's round 27 clash against Toulouse Olympique. Bonjour, Kevin.
Bonjour, David.
Je m'appelle David.
Well done. Ça va? Comme ci, comme ça?
Comme ci, comme ça.
Très bon. There goes GCSE geography, French out the way. You can't even speak English. What a start.
Brilliant. Back once again, coming thick and fast. Last game of the regular season. Kev, we're going to miss doing these preview shows. Potentially only one more after this. Hopefully two.
Hopefully two.
But we will see. Don't count our chickens before they've hatched.
Correct.
The League Leaders Shield will be presented after this squad of men take on Toulouse and hopefully come away with another 2 points to further solidify our place at the top of the table. Although it doesn't really matter, does it, Kev?
No, it doesn't. Doesn't now. We've finished top. Been the most consistent team all year in what's been a bit of a weird year because we're not used to having so many injuries. I don't think any teams are used to having so many injuries. It's just been a bit of a tough one, hasn't it? But we're there and we're top of the pile, and it's another trophy to put in the cabinet.
Just remembered we were going to do bad tweets tonight as well, weren't we?
We were going to do tweets tonight, yeah.
Just look at our timeline from Saturday.
Yeah.
But the important thing was no injuries really from Monday, no suspensions, and listen, it was a game that didn't need to happen at the end of the day, but it did. But we come through unscathed, and this Saturday we can give most of the first team a run out who need to get a game ahead of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's it. I think we said on the instant fan reaction with Kev Cunningham that, you know what, we need to go as strong as we can. I know he mentioned the likes of Alex Walmsley having a knock, and obviously Alex sits out this game as well. But you're not going to risk anybody you don't have to. But the rest of them, if they're fit enough, they play. You don't go with a similar team as we did against Wakey on Monday. You've got to get the lads in there because we get another week off next week. So you've got to keep them going. Your lads who may come back in. Your Will Hopperwarty, Mark Percival types, Sione Matautia, you leave them out of this. You don't want to risk them with this one. Coming into a semi-final, that's when you do turn around and go, your big guns are back, get them in.
Yeah, obviously there was heavy rumours that Mark Percival was going to play this week. The club have decided to hold him back, and Mr. Woolf has said he will play in the semi-final alongside Will Hopperwarty as well. So we'll probably have essentially one of the strongest backlines that we've had this year for that game.
Yeah, definitely. And that's it. There's always the worry. There's always in the back of your mind. And I know Kristian Woolf's also said about recreating match kind of intensity in training. But it's a big difference playing in a playoff match to training, even if the GPS results and all that show that they're doing as many miles running or exerting themselves as much. I still think there's that obvious step up. Hopefully, though, we won't have a repeat of the Warrington Challenge Cup final, and we'll have lads who are coming back in fresh and ready to go and have that bit of an advantage over teams who've been kind of beaten and busted up all season.
Yeah. We've had a few discussions today about what the team might look like between the likes of ourselves and Kev Cunningham. And he's got options, Mr. Woolf, and how he decides to play this one, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. That's it. It's almost a bit of a shock seeing like the four lads down at the bottom of that list: Danny Moss, George Delaney, Keane Guilford, and Ben Lane. Keep the place. You'd almost think that we'd throw a couple more in, but obviously with the injury knocks that we've got, there's no point risking people. You might as well leave the young lads who've done a good job come in and done what they needed to do, give them another taste of being in and around a 21-man squad.
Yeah, for me this week, my thought process behind it is if you're going to give the lads who need to have a game, you want them playing in the right positions where they'll be playing in the semi. Otherwise, what's the point in risking them?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So with that, I take it you mean Jack Wellsby playing in the halves alongside Johnny Lomax, because that's where, again, injury and suspension, hopefully aside, that's where he's going to be playing, you'd imagine. So, yeah, Johnny Bennison filling in at fullback. He can always...
I think that's the debatable one, Kev. Now, I've gone with John Bennison at fullback.
Yeah.
But given that Will Hopewati is going to be there for the semi-final, where does John Bennison play? Does he play on the wing?
No, to be honest, I'd go with him at fullback in this game. Just because, listen, I get what you're saying, and I do agree with key positions like that. But in playing fullback and in playing wing, I don't think with the likes of John, I don't think that matters too much. We're not trying to put a partnership together there. So I think with him out on the wing, and if Percy is back, it's going to be an all-new left edge anyway, isn't it? Well, not all new. I know they've played together this season. I think they have anyway. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, to be fair. I think I will go Bennison at fullback, Wellsby and Lomax in the halves.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me though. If Bennison is going to be playing on the wing for the semi, he'll be the one to move to fullback. But maybe the wing spot's the one that's not really affected.
Yeah. I think there may have been a little bit of a misunderstanding with the question asked there. But yeah, I think, as I say, Johnny Bennison's got to drop into fullback. He does a good job there. It's his natural position. And I think with the fact that we have named two young lads who played on the wing on Monday, a little bit me thinks is one of them going to get another run out.
Yeah. Well, for me, that's what I've gone for. So my team for Saturday is John Bennison at fullback, Makinson Harrell, Ben Davis and Ben Lane.
Okay.
On the Ben side. Just came to me. Lomax and Wellsby in the halves. Lees, Roby, Parsi, Batchelor, Sirenan, Knowles. And then on the bench, I've gone for Lussick, Dan Norman, Delaney and Bell. And the reason I've put Delaney on the bench as another young lad is just so that if the game's won, you don't have to play Iggy Parsi and Matty Lees in big minutes. You can potentially give Delaney some game time there, and because I think he fully deserves that after his performance last week. Missing out, I've left LMS out because he's played the last two.
Agreed that, yeah.
I've left Jake Wingfield out because he's the same.
Fair enough, yeah.
And I've left Keane Guildford, who's the other winger, and Danny Moss out.
Yeah, well, that's it. The halves, I think, do, as we say, you want to play Wellsby and Lomax together if they're going to be there during the playoffs. Have you picked Ben Lane purely because he played left wing on Monday? Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think Kristian Woolf picked up on Keane Guildford and how he came back from that absolutely horrible to deal with Jacob Miller bomb when he dropped that. And listen, I don't think any of us would have fancied trying to take that when you can hear boots running at you and you've got your eyes in the sky. It could be either of them, to be fair.
Kev, would it be shocked if James Bell didn't play, given the fact he's played the last two?
Yeah.
And you put the extra, and you'd even put the extra winger on the bench. And if the game's won after 40, take Tommy off.
Yeah, possibly. That's it. As we said, or as you said at the start of this, there's so many options. He might play Jake Wingfield because Jake Wingfield is a young lad who can cover a couple of different positions. He can cover 13, he can cover back row, and he can prop as well as playing 9 if he needed to. So there are different options for him.
Kev, can you see what I'm doing?
I'm rather worried at what you're doing.
This is the Kurt Siren and tackling technique on Saturday.
No, you've got to use your arms.
No,
You've got to use your
no,
arms
no,
at the tackle.
no. Kev, if you were running at me and this is the try line behind me, how do you do, sir?
Just let him through. Yeah, fair enough. That's it. Listen, I think Kurt's in the position that quite a few of our second rowers have been in, where they're getting picking up bands, and I'm sure that he will have been working on that technique for if he plays and he's not out with the team.
About time.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
So Toulouse squad.
Yeah.
Dominic Peyrou coming back to the club. Joe Paolo with his final game as a professional.
Andrew Dixon, former Saint as well.
And I can tell you, Kev, that somebody. Yeah, that says Saturday the 3rd of September.
Were you looking for Trois?
No.
For 3?
Yeah, but I didn't know whether they said 3rd differently.
Well, there's no RD on it, so it's just Saturday 3 September, that to me.
Yeah. Hey, I can count in French.
Well done.
London to our 4-5-6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Yeah, see?
Brilliant. Yeah,
A-level French. It's A-level French. GCSE French never leaves you. Well,
I'll wait for the German team coming into Super League before I start counting in a different language.
And by dry.
Yeah.
That's literally probably my limit.
Yeah, fair enough. Listen, yeah, they're not going to be a pushover, are they? If it's the final game in Super League, they're going to want to go out with a statement. They're going to want to take 2 points off us again. Listen, they've got players who've been round the block, as you say. Like Sir Joe Paolo, his final game as a professional. We all know what you look through that team, and we all know what Harrison Hansen, Andrew Dixon, Peru, Pelissier, Paolo, Hankinson, Matty Russell, Ollie Ashall-Bolt, Nathan Peets, Daniel Alvaro. We all know what they can do. We all know that they're decent Super League players. And it is a shame that they're going down. And that's not to kind of throw shade on any other club in Super League. It's just a shame that obviously with the money situation, we can't currently justify having more than 12 teams in Super League, which is a crying shame. And I'll just get quickly on my soapbox and say that if we go down to 10 teams and have to play each other 3 times every single season, you'll start seeing the slice of that pie getting smaller and smaller and smaller when less and less fans are bothered going watching Saints against Wakefield, Salford, Wigan, Warrington for the 3rd time over and over and over again.
Well, and not only that, you've lost 2 sets of fans from Super League as well.
Yeah, true.
12's bad enough. It feels like you're still playing the same team every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Ideally, I'd go up to 14, but that's an off-season episode of its own, isn't it, Kev?
Correct.
Now, the big news of the week is the announcement that Kristian Woolf will depart at the end of the season. He's going to the Dolphins, the new NRL side in Australia. He's taken up a assistant coaching role there before taking over from Wayne Bennett in 2024. Assuming things don't go mightily pear-shaped at the Dolphins and they sack everyone.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Listen, it's the news we expected, or we've expected for a while. We're just wondering when it would be announced. Huge loss in terms of what he's brought to the club. We thought we wouldn't get someone as good as Justin Holbrook. And then we get Kristian Woolf, who is, you could argue, has took us to another level, especially in defence.
Yeah, you could argue like he's continued the good work that Justin Holbrook came in a bad position, where we weren't playing well at all. Came in 45-0 at Magic Weekend against Hull. Seemingly turned us around with one game. And Wolves benefited from that. But Kristian has had to kind of build on that as well. It must have been tough when he first came over because we immediately went into a lockdown. He'd have probably been speaking to most of his players like we're speaking now over Zoom, text messages and the likes. Not kind of knowing who he is, him not really knowing who they are and what they're like as people. And to be fair, in them early months, you think again of our timeline and people turning around saying, "Oh, he's rubbish, he's got to go." I remember being at Castleford just before the lockdown, and it was the last game before the season got put on hold, and we didn't play well at all. And the reaction we got from that, people weren't happy. We were saying, "You've got to stick with him. You've got to stick with him," because he was taking Tonga to beating Australia. He was kind of the best candidate there, and there was no one who would literally just come and step in. I know people hankered for Justin Holbrook coming straight back, which was never ever going to happen. So you're right that he's taken the platform that he was on, that he got given, and as he elevated us. I know some people aren't necessarily happy with his exact style of play, but look at the trophies we've won over the past 3 years under him. Yeah. We've won everything that has been there to be won in Super League. And when people turn around and say, "Oh yeah, he's a bit defensive," he's always said you've got to earn the right to play. I've said this about other clubs in Super League, that they try playing rugby before they've given themselves that platform to work off. You've got to be honest as a rugby team. And he makes us honest, and he makes it that, as you say, we're solid defensively. We grind teams down. Sometimes it might not be the prettiest. Sometimes it might be very NRL in its ways. But then you give yourself the platform to be able to throw it about. We've still seen some great tries under him. We've still seen some great rugby under him. Let's not keep the rose-tinted specks of what's happened under previous coaches. I'm not just on about Holbrook there. I'm on about the likes of Millwood and Daniel Anderson and people like that. There's still some good rugby being played, but the game is changing that little bit as well. People are realising it is much more of a business, as we see with finishing top, getting your 100 grand. Listen, that's massive for a club, especially with all the losses that are going about the game in COVID. So, is he the best that we've ever had in Super League? You could argue that he is. You definitely could, and that's possibly another off-season episode. Is he or isn't he?
And ladies and gentlemen, that is Kev's interview for the assistant's job to Mr. Paul Wellens. Is there any other candidate, Kev, apart from Paul Wellens? And the answer is no.
I know there's been people mentioned, but no, I can't see it. He's done his apprenticeship now, with England as well. So he's worked under Sean Wayne, he's worked under Justin Holbrook, he's worked under Kristian Woolf. I know people are saying give him another couple of years, but then do you risk losing him?
If he's not ready now, he never will be.
Well, look at Lee Breers. Lee Breers has gone over to Australia next season. He's moved on from Warrington to Wigan for a season and now off to Australia. And you risk losing the likes of Paul Wellens, because if you give someone a 3-year contract again, it's like, well, you're going to get made a coach in 2027. He might turn around and go, I'm not up for that. I'm not up for that at all.
I think everybody needs to read between the lines on this one. There's no way Kristian Woolf is doing an interview talking up the chances of Paul Wellens being the next coach if it's not going to happen.
Very true. And listen,
sorry, I was just going to add to that. I don't think the club would have been as relaxed about allowing Kristian Woolf to get right towards the end of the year before making his decision. If they didn't have confidence that if he was to go, that Paul Wellens would step up as the next coach, because otherwise they would have wanted a decision 3 months ago, and Mr. Rush would have been having a nice holiday to Australia looking for the next one.
I'm sure he'd call it something different to a holiday, but yeah.
Correct. Working holiday, Kevin.
Working holiday. You didn't say that. Holiday.
But that's it. Listen, if you can claim your drinks, expenses, and your food, and everything else, and your flights.
If it is Wello, then I don't want to kind of quote what all your managers, as in Everton, get. But he gets the town, he gets the club. But he does. He's intrinsic in the fact.
I hope he's not like an Everton manager. He'll be gone in about 6 months.
Well, same. But he kind of knows that we bring lads through the academy as well. I was looking at a stat with Kristian Woolf. 29 debuts, I think it is, that he's given out in his 3 years. 29 debuts, 19 from the academy. 2 others, English lads, Dan Norman and Dan Hill, them two. And the rest signings from overseas. And you think he's also helped the progression of Joe Batchelor, Jack Wellsby, who were given debuts by Justin Holbrook, and Matty Lees, but he was given a debut a lot earlier, I think, into Justin's reign or just before it. So Wello will get that, and Wello will get the fact that the club needs to be linked to the town, which COVID hasn't helped with. But whenever we've spoke to Kristian Woolf, we've always been able to have a nice chat to him, haven't we? We've always been able to, like we saw him at Wakefield away the other week, and I just had exchanged pleasantries. We saw him at Cass away, where we were walking across the training pitch. He'd been doing his media duties, and we had a chat to him. And he's very, very receptive to having a chat with people. He's not shy of turning around and going, I'm not interested in talking to anybody. I'm not interested in talking to them 2 fat lads with an iPhone.
Kev, I fully believe he watches Redvee, you know.
Well, he knew who we were.
The previous show, in his office, legs crossed up on the desk, cigar in his mouth, and when we pick our 17, he goes, "Haha, boys, wrong again."
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. 100%. But that's it. Listen, he's done really, really well for the club. I think that's a bit.
You only have to see the amount of community work he does as well. That probably doesn't always get shown, publicised, seen. Probably because he obviously doesn't want it to. Not that he doesn't want it to, just because it's the norm. Going out to the community clubs, watching games, meeting people in the town. Listen, he's probably not as effervescent as Justin Holbrook's personality was, but real good bloke, and we wish him well as he goes back to Australia. And I do want to finish on this point, Kev, talking about Kristian Woolf. You were talking about when he came over, and we went pretty much straight into lockdown a month or so later. So did his family.
Yeah.
And they've stuck it out for 3 years. They allowed him to take up the extra year's option to stay. And they've obviously had to blend into the town and tough it out, especially with all the COVID restrictions about not being able to get back to Australia or family be able to come over. So, listen, people come to this town as a package. So I think for the whole Wolf family, we appreciate everything they've done for us.
Yeah, definitely. We heard the stories of Kevin Nagama doing similar, and everybody lauded Kev for not just going home when Kristian Woolf said he could have knocked on his door. You know what? I think Kristian Woolf could have knocked on Rushy's door at any point and gone, listen, my family needs to go home. I need the support of my family and friends around me. He stuck it out over here. He's put us in such a good position. And hopefully, whoever the next head coach is, Paul Wellens, will be able to continue his good work and further improve it and cement us as the top name in rugby league.
Can I just point out who Mr. Wellens' assistant should be, and hopefully will be? Richard Marshall.
Wouldn't be a bad shout, that.
Get him back. He knows the club. He knows Wello. He knows how we work. He's worked under the coaches as well. He needs to step up in his career after being at Warrington for a bit. He's probably maybe shown that he's not quite cut out to be a head coach.
Super League head coach, you're going
Super
to
League
put
head coach, yeah.
who's good at Halifax.
But I'm more than capable and good assistant. Would it be a shock to see him back? Not for me.
Nah, same. And that's it. It's got to be, I'd imagine it will be Wellow's choice, if Wellow's given the job. It will be his choice because I don't think Kristian Woolf got a say in who was his assistant coaches when he came over. But if we are going with an English team or at least maybe an Aussie who is resident over here, that might make things a little bit easier. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see Richard Marshall back at the club.
Yeah. Right then, Kev, I think that is us done. Instant fan reaction on Saturday is in your capable hands, Kevin.
Yep. Excellent. Look forward to it.
I will be watching my other team get beat.
Never mind.
But don't get me wrong, I'm going to come and play cameraman, I reckon, Kev.
Okay.
I won't come on the video because, let's be perfectly honest, there's no point in me coming on a reaction video if I've not seen the game, because what's the point? My opinion is essentially worthless, isn't it?
Listen, you're allowed an opinion, but correct.
Not when you've been blindfolded and not seen it.
Yeah, if you've not seen it and you're just going off either what somebody else is saying on the radio or in written word or my tweets or whatever, no, I'm no offense. I'm not bothered about your opinion if you're not going to be there.
At the very least, you watch it 2 days later on Redvee TV. Redvee TV. Yeah, watch it on us. We don't pirate games on it. Yeah, you watch it on Saints TV, and then you write your report up and pretend you were there.
Yeah.
Right. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And Kev, you better find a guest, and we'll catch you. He will catch you on Saturday after lifting the league leaders.
Just going to see if Peter's there.
He is. Catch you later.